Yeah, I want to hear about this. I have some questions that I'd like to ask you about it.
Okay. It makes it sound like you don't believe it. You're like, I got some questions about this cancer you had.
I don't know about this.
What kind of cancer was it?
So it was a sarcoma, which is a soft tissue cancer, and it's very rare. I guess there's only like 2,000 cases a year or so.
Okay.
In the entire world.
Yeah, so like 7 billion people
In the entire
cases.
world?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a cure for it?
No, there's no cure for cancer.
Or, sorry. Well, yeah.
No,
There's
like
a treatment.
Cure. There's treatments.
Yeah.
There's no cure. So basically, it was very inopportune timing. I mean, it never is opportune, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
boy, I wish I got cancer today. Anyway, so I had just moved to LA. Like, I moved here October 2015, and then in November of 2015, I got diagnosed with it because I had this lump on my shin, and I assumed it was just a bump. Like, I hit something.
Yeah.
And it kept getting bigger. So I finally went to a doctor. The first doctor said, it's probably just like a cyst or something benign. It's not a big deal. I was like, okay. I went to another doctor. Said the same thing, but he was like, you know what? We'll just remove it and we'll test it and see what it is.
Right.
I was like, oh, cool, let's do that. So I had a minor operation. They cut it open. And I even like Instagrammed a photo of the tumor.
I remember that, yeah.
Oh, whatever. Then a week later, I get a call and it's like, hey, so we got the results back and you have cancer. It's sarcoma, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh, dang. Okay. So I went to Cedars-Sinai here in Los Angeles because they had a dude who was well-versed in sarcomas. Huh. And they kind of went through it with me. And basically, they gave me two options. There was the optimal idea in their minds that would make it so I wouldn't get it again, which was to cut off my leg. And I was like, what's the second option? What's behind door number two?
Okay.
Door number two was that, because the issue was on my shin. So when you do have cancer, and they need to cut it out, if they can cut it out, they need a wide area to be able to remove it, because just one cell is all it takes for it to propagate again and spread.
Yeah.
So they couldn't get very deep because it was right on my shin bones. That's why they're like, well, let's just cut off your leg and we'll know that we got it. So I was like, well, let's just not do that one yet. So I went in for an operation in December, and I was in the hospital for a week. And they basically just cut open my leg. I have photos of it. It's gross. They like took out this wide area of my leg, and the hole was so big that they had to fill it with something. So they went in and they cut open the side of my leg and took the bottom part of my calf muscle and flipped that over and put that on the top to fill the hole. And then they took a skin graft from my hip and put that on top of it there.
Wow.
And it was very difficult. I was in the hospital for a week, which isn't too long, but I couldn't move.
A week nonstop, like you're in the bed
I was in a bed for a week. I couldn't move.
Yeah.
Couldn't do anything. Like nurse had to come in to like wash me and all those things. Like I had to pee in a bucket basically.
Right.
That I would then put on my table, and a nurse would come in and like empty it and bring it back to me.
Our nurse is great.
They are great. But it was very difficult. And then after that, I was able to go home after a week. Like I think the day before Christmas, I went home. And I still couldn't move. So that was very difficult because like my bedroom was on the bottom floor, but everything was on the top floor. So I had to like get on my butt and scoot down the stairs.
Wow.
And I had to do physical therapy for a month. And then I started, after my leg was healed enough, I had to go back to the hospital every week to check out my leg because I also had a tube coming out of it so blood would come out so I wouldn't get blood clots in my leg.
Yeah.
And then I did that. And then end of January, I started doing radiation therapy for 3 months. So every day, Monday through Friday, I'd go to the cancer center and do radiation treatment.
Can you describe exactly what that is, though? So it's like, I remember you getting like tattooed dots.
Yeah. So they would, it has to be at a very certain location on your leg or wherever the treatment needs to be delivered. So I remember going in, they were like, do you mind if we give you tattoos? I was like, I don't care. I got tats. So they had to do these, instead of drawing tracking dots every time on my leg, they just tattooed the tracking dots on to where they had to align the radiation machine.
Right.
So they tattooed these dots, still there on my shin. Did that, and then, I would sit in and be about 15 to 30 minutes. And it was funny because, like, when you get an x-ray, they always leave the room. It's this giant machine that I'm, like, laying in. And everyone leaves the room, and it's, like, dimly lit, and they always have, like, Enya playing. And they're just doing, like, radiation treatment to me every single day. And it was difficult because it zaps you. It takes out your energy. But also, the funny thing about radiation therapy is that eventually, generally, it will give you cancer. So, like, if I get cancer again, it's not going to be because my sarcoma's back. It's going to be because I got cancer because of the radiation machine. But what it does is it basically just kills everything. Yeah. So your skin like starts peeling and blistering. Like I had these giant gross blisters on my leg like all 3 months, and they were like super painful. Huh. But you just have to do it because you don't want to die.
Yeah. Right. So like this radiation machine, was it like this big articulating arm?
Yeah.
With like cameras on it to identify where the dots
so
are
it, like,
to be able
moves,
to orient
it goes,
itself?
Whoop, whoop. Yep.
And it would. How big was like the actual radiation stream from it? Was it like a pinprick size and it would just kind of like move around, or is it just blasting the entire area without moving?
No, it's relatively pointed, so like it knows where it's going and it moves around the leg.
Okay.
It shoots radiation at you. Can you see it?
No.
Okay.
But the thing that was always so strange to me, is that like it's this thing that I can't feel it while it's happening. Afterwards, once it's done, like then you start feeling the effects of the radiation, which what makes radiation poisoning and stuff so scary to me. Is like it's a thing that you can't see, that you don't know that's there, and then when you do, it's too late.
Yeah, that's. I just learned today that people that get leukemia often it's because of radiation.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that.
Oh, well, if you paid more attention in Could You Saw the Movies Mad Max, we talk about that.
That's where I learned it. Yeah, that's where I learned it.
Oh, yeah, we did it. Yes. Accidental learning. Yay.
That is where I learned it.
I take back my snark then. All
right.
You're forgiven, Jake.
All right, thank you.
But yeah, so that was a very interesting time of my life. Sorry, you go.
I mean, yeah, so I'm just kind of curious about the experience of having cancer, because most people just know that having cancer sucks.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of generally like, all right, it sucks and I might die. Those are like the two main things people know. So you're saying it zaps your energy. Now, like, how does that work? So it's like, you're like, oh, I'm having a good day. I had coffee. I went in, had radiation, and then now I'm just tired.
Yeah.
Is it, how immediate is that? Is that just kind of like an ongoing thing throughout the course of the months you're doing radiation?
Yeah.
Or is it like only for the first few hours after the treatment? And
No,
then
it would
wears off?
happen most of the day. And I think a lot of it too is, if you've ever experienced like depression where you have no motivation to do anything, like you want to, but like you just can't get your mind to agree to it. Like your body's just, it feels like your body's separate than your mind. Like,
Yeah.
I would be like, I want to do these things, but I just physically can't because I have no energy. I have no excitement. I have like no motivation to do anything. So I would do, because my appointments were at 1:15 every day. So I would do all of my meetings and stuff in the morning, because after radiation, I just couldn't do anything. I'd like go home, lay on the couch and just like sit there and do nothing.
Right.
I ordered a lot of delivery, racked up a lot of Postmates bills.
Oh, man.
So yeah, that was really difficult because it was frustrating to me, because I don't like being stationary. I like to always do things. I like to always be working. That's why I like did 2 jobs at once in New York and LA. Like I just always want to do things.
Yeah.
So that was very frustrating to me, because I was basically like imprisoned in my own body and I couldn't do anything. And then every day with the death thing, like for the entire year, like all of 2016, up until the end of it, when they finally told me that like I was cancer free, or had been in remission, should I say, I like every day I was just like, well, I could die today. It's like how I felt every single day. And it was this constant thing that I had. But then it gets to the point where you're like, I'm fine with it now. Like I could die. So it was a weird headspace to be in. But I am happy that I got cancer, to be honest. Like it sounds weird, but I think
I imagine because it gave you a new perspective on life, right?
Yeah, I've become a lot more open-minded towards things. Like I used to be very much like, oh, I don't like that, so I'm not going to experience it. Now I'm like, oh, I want to experience this to see if I like it, because I don't know.
I think I remember you saying, wasn't you having cancer and then going into remission, like basically recovering from that? Isn't that why you took the bean job in New York on top of basically starting out a new new YouTube channel, but a recently independent channel? So now you're working in 2 states, and that was like, you're like, you know what? I've had enough. I'm gonna, or not. It's not that you had enough. You're like, I want to have more now. I want to be able to do everything that I can.
Yeah. Well, I felt like I didn't do as much as I could have done for like a whole year, because I was just like done or like scared or whatever. So I wanted to make up for that. So I was like, oh, this is great. Now I can have like another job. I can do more things. I can prove, and a large part of why I took that job was to prove to myself that I could do something else. I wanted to see if I wasn't just like a one-trick pony. I mean, I don't know the answer to that yet still, but that was part of it. And yeah, part of it was the cancer thing. I was just like, I'm here for such a short amount of time, regardless of if I like get cancer again or just in general. And I want to do as much as I can. That's always been important to me, is like doing more than you think is possible and pushing yourself.
And you made a video when you did have cancer. Like you made a full Vsauce 3 video. Can you just kind of briefly explain what it's like making a video, like production schedule wise?
It was very difficult. So that video actually I had written, like I planned to make it in December of 2015. But then all this stuff happened and I delayed it. And then I just had no energy or motivation to make it. And I felt bad because I was like, I'm going to be like in a chair. And then as time went on, like I think it was about 5 or 6 months since my last video, I felt very self-conscious. Like, oh, I've been making people wait for so long. Like, what if it's not good? I can't move, so I have to be stationary the entire time. Like, is it going to be really dumb? Are people going to be upset? And eventually I just like forced myself to do it. We had to do it. We could only film before I went to radiation therapy. So like the longest video it ever took me to make, like even the Mad Max video took me 3.5 days to film. This one took me like a week to film. And I just have to look exactly the same every single day. And Eric would come over, who does all our VFX and cinematography on Vsauce, and we would just film like in the mornings for a whole week. And then I would like sit in my little chair and like edit it and then just do everything that way. But it was difficult. That's why the whole video, so it's called like 4 Logical Paradoxes, I think was the
Yeah, it was
first
a
one I made.
paradox video.
And in the entire video, I'm sitting down. Like I'm in my Eames chair. Like I never move out of the Eames chair because I just couldn't walk anywhere.
Now, didn't you acknowledge in the video that you had cancer?
Yeah.
And that's why you weren't going to be moving much?
Because also I want to acknowledge the fact that like this is why I thought it was a pretty good excuse for why I'd been gone for like 6 months.
I feel like having
Yeah,
cancer is a good enough excuse for practically anything.
So that was interesting.
Two questions on that. Number one, when did they tell you, okay, it's in remission or you're cancer free? Like, at what point did that happen after?
That was in December of 2016. So I remember that very well because I had never really like cried or anything about my lot in life. I was like, well, this is just what I have to deal with and I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
I remember going to the doctor and I did, because for a while now, basically when I was going through treatment, I had to go in like every day. And then it turned into, after we finished radiation, I would go in once a month and do scans. Then it was every 3 months. Then it was every 6 months. And now it's once a year, starting this year.
Okay.
So I had done my like 3-month whatever checkup, and they came in to tell me the test results. Like, there's no signs of anything. Like, everything looks really great. Like, your cancer is in remission. And I remember being like, what was that one? He was like, sorry, I was like, am I cancer free? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, cool. Well, good seeing you, doctor. I gotta go. And I remember like going to the parking garage of the cancer center, just sitting in my car and just like crying.
Yeah.
It's like this huge weight had been lifted from me.
Right.
Because I literally thought every single day that I was gonna die. Like I'd already planned out what my last video was going to be, and like I found out all
wow.
the music for it.
Dude.
Yeah.
And like what it
Heavy.
would look like and the topics that I would talk about. And like I had this whole entire, it'd be called A Life by Jake Roper. Like that, the title of the video would just be called A Life, and just be about like what it means to like be alive and all these things. And then would end with this very nice montage of like my favorite moments from like videos that I've made or like videos that I've been with my friends, and it'd be set to this song by M83. So I'd have to like try and get a license from them. But anyways, I had this whole thing planned out.
You'd be gone at that point, so you could just post it.
Yeah, no one would care.
Set it and
Well,
forget
that's the thing.
it.
I had the whole schedule. Like I would make it like while I was in the hospital bed. Like I'd start filming it now, and then like as I got worse and worse, it would like progress through that.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
And then like I would basically ask like Michael or something to make it public. Like once I had died, like then make the video public.
Wow.
So I had this whole entire plan in my head of like what my final video would be, because I thought that I would die at any moment.
Right.
So when he told me that I potentially wouldn't die at any moment, I was like, I don't know. It just like rushed over me, and I just sat in my car in this like garage in Los Angeles and just like cried for 20 minutes.
Of course you did. I mean, that's super powerful stuff.
And that was like the first time that like I actually like cried during the whole process.
Yeah.
But it's a lot to deal with, man. I think the things that always stuck out to me the most was when I went in for the surgery, the big one. And I remember filling out all the paperwork, and they asked me like who had power of attorney, basically. Like if you don't wake up from surgery, like who has the authority to pull the plug or not?
Right.
I was like, oh, that's the thing that I've never considered.
Yeah.
And like my girlfriend at the time was there, and I was like, hey, would you mind like doing this for me? And I had like lay out the rules. I was like, okay, so if like I'm in a coma for this long, like then you can pull the plug. If like this had, it's like all this stuff. And I had to like write a will, which I'd never considered I'd ever have to write now because I was in my 20s. Like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
So that was all like very weird to me, and very made it more real, I think. I was like, oh, you have to have your affairs in order.
Yeah.
It's like, but I'm just going in for surgery, right? Like I'm gonna be fine.
Maybe.
I'm like, well, we don't know.
Probably.
And then the thing, like you go to sleep and then you wait, and you're like, okay, well, hopefully I wake up again.
Right.
So it was strange.
Yeah. Yeah, I dealt with that. I lost both my parents to cancer, so I'm intimately familiar with some of the things you're going over. But my second question, do you think there was anything, what do you think caused it? Do you think there was any particular thing, or do you think it was just...
So as far as I know, scientifically, sarcomas are just mutations. It's not predisposed by, like, if my parents had it, like, I'm not more likely to get it or less likely to get it. It has nothing to do with like your diet. You know, it's not like lung cancer. We're like, oh, smoking could help that. It's just a random mutation.
It just bad luck.
Yeah, it just happens.
Do you know exactly what kind of sarcoma it is?
No, I know there's different ones. I don't. Here's the thing. When I remember when they were telling me about it, I was like not paying attention. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I have cancer.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's whatever sarcoma. Like the thing I do remember is them telling me that it was like, because they do it by like grades or something. So it was like a grade 3. It was like the most aggressive kind.
Oh, it was a grade 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really aggressive.
That's not good.
That's why they were
really
like very
glad
concerned.
You caught it, because at pretty much after that point, it goes to the rest of your body. And
yeah, so that's again why they wanted to cut off my leg, because they're like, if just one cell gets in your bloodstream,
Yep.
Like it's going to go everywhere in your body.
Yeah.
Because since it loves soft tissue, it's like, what is your entire chest? It's soft tissue organs.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Wow.
Like what is your brain? Like it would just spread throughout my entire body. So that's what they would keep. That's why I had to go every single week and like do tests.
Yeah.
I had to get my blood drawn every single day. Like all this stuff just to make sure like it didn't spread anywhere. But yeah, they were very, so that's the thing I paid attention to was like, wait, grade 3, what does that mean? And I would like look it up and I was like, oh, chance of survival is like 10%. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's not great. Yeah, so it was like, it was pretty heavy. So I didn't really pay attention to it too much. I was just like, okay, I'm just going to do whatever they tell me to do. But I lucked out. I mean, luckily we caught it early. I didn't have to do chemotherapy or any of that kind of stuff. It was just radiation therapy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it worked out well. I still, I'm going in December to do another scan and we'll see, but I feel good.
Good.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, that's I'm glad, dude. That's inspirational to see like that you've come back. You've learned from it and you're moving forward with that knowledge.
Yeah, it was, I mean, like I said, weirdly, it was great to have. I'm happy I survived it, but like it really put into perspective like what was important to me and the things I wanted to focus on. And really, even though I feel like I've always been a relatively driven person, it really amped up what I want to do in my life.